Okay. How do you start a conversation with a complete stranger? What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Unconscious Communication Secrets with myself, Al-Busaidi. And today we're going to be talking to you about a 6-step system to starting a conversation. Now, we are live at 5, so if you are online, please jump in, say hello. I'd love to hear from you. If you have any questions, jump in and ask away. Or just come and say hi. That'd be cool too. All right, cool. So we are talking about how to start a conversation. Now, this is something that frightens people, that gets people to go insanely scared. And it is, how do you literally either walk up to a stranger and start a conversation? And first of all, why would you want to do that, right? Like, that's I suppose that's the first question. But ultimately, you are perhaps one conversation opening away from changing your life. Literally, think of the biggest relationship that you may have or want to have. That is one conversation away, right? The job that you want, the partnership that you want, the business deal that you want, the customer that you want, everything, a lot of things are one conversation away because so much in life depends on other people. So being able to start a conversation is hugely powerful, and has starting a conversation can have a lot of potential if you start a conversation with the right person. And think of it like this: like, imagine there's this huge rock on the top of a cliff. Now, if you give the rock the right push, it can roll on and go, and it can carry on for a long time on its own. And that's the same with starting a conversation. If you start the conversation with the right way, it will flow easily, and it will be easy to carry on moving forward if you start off, especially if you kick off with the right impression. So today I'm going to be sharing with you my system called the RQPENS system. But before I do that, I'll tell you very quickly, when I was at university, there were a couple of friends that I had that were, listen, at the university, a lot of people were single and ready to mingle, right? And there were guys over there that were like, okay, but I don't know, how am I supposed to start speaking to a girl? And initially, one of the things was, back in those days, that how do you start a conversation was opening lines. But what a lot of people found out very quickly is that opening lines generally don't work, because if you're memorizing a line, then it becomes just that, a memorized line. When I started working in door-to-door sales, I learned the power of creating a positive impression very quickly, and how to start a conversation so that you can get people thinking the right way. And so today I'm going to share with you the RQPENS system to starting a conversation. But if you look at it in general, in everyday life, you look at kids do a lot of these things naturally. When we have been in situations where, and you'll start to notice when a conversation has opened, because we've all had conversations that have opened in our lives, but when you look through, you'll see that it ticks most of these check boxes, at least when a conversation has gone well and it's kicked off on with the right impression initially. We've also had conversations where they didn't start off well, but ended up in friendship. And we're not going to be talking about that, because then even in those situations where a conversation didn't start well but ended up in a friendship, there was a lot of recovery that had to be done. What we're going to be sharing with you is how to start off on the right way so that you easily and effortlessly get results moving forward. So without further ado, let's get cracking. So R is for relevant. Now, here, what do I mean by relevant? in my courses, I also give a number of examples of how to start a conversation. I give you a lot, like over 21 examples of how to start a conversation. In nearly all of them, I find situations that are relevant to the context in which you're in. So if you are at a concert and you turn to someone and you say, man, these guys are really amazing, right? It's relevant to that situation. If you're in a restaurant and you want to ask someone, you know, hey, what do you think is really good about the food here? You're talking about something that's relevant in that situation. You're finding things that are relevant to the encounter, to where you are at that given moment, to what the weather is like in that given moment, to what is going on around you, what you're seeing, hearing, feeling at that given moment. Those are all relevant. You can talk to someone at a wedding about how do you know the groom. That is relevant. So there are so many, you find something that is relevant to the situation that you're in, and it will easily allow you to kick off a conversation. Okay, so that was relevant. That was number one. Then Q. I like to say this. You are one question away from from kicking off a powerful conversation. What do I mean by that? Like literally, if you were to kick off a great conversation, a conversation is a two-way thing. For you to get someone else to talk, the easiest way is to ask a question. It reduces the pressure from having to memorize something, thinking of, oh, how can I sound clever when I open, da 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 da. Because if you're thinking of all those things, you're thinking of me, 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 me. However, asking a question can be so powerful because then you focus on the person. So getting a person to sort of say, hey, you know, what do you find interesting about this or whatever? You're asking a question and it's their turn to speak. Now, questions are very powerful for multiple reasons. One, it creates a conversation. It becomes a two-way thing. But also, secondly, you direct their mind. So if they were, oh, you know what, who's this guy? Why are they talking? But then as soon as you ask them a question, their mind goes from wondering something or wherever their mind is to, I need to answer this question. And so with a question, questions are so powerful because you can direct the mind in any given direction. So you can get them towards thinking something positive or something happy or etc. The way that you ask questions are so powerful. And the same goes for when you open a conversation. So that was number 2, ask a question. Then number 3, you want to be pleasant, complimentary, or at least empathetic. Now, here's what I mean, right? The first few things that you utter out of your mouth will allow a person to form an opinion of you, will allow a person to think of you in a certain way. And so if you say something negative, like, if you complain as your first opener, they will look at you as a negative person. If you start off a conversation on a bad foot or on an insult or something like that, their first impression of you will be negative. So you want to start off with something that is pleasant or complimentary. Now, if the situation doesn't require a compliment or, like, hey, like a person's just fallen in the mud and you sort of say, hey, that's a nice dress over there. That's not going to go down well. Why? Because, the situation doesn't call for you being complimentary, but it does call for at least a little bit of empathy. So, oh my God, are you okay? Hey, just showing a little bit of empathy at the least, if something has gone wrong. So if the situation doesn't allow for you to be pleasant, positive, or complimentary, then you can at least be empathetic, have some empathy. Okay, hey, I hope you're okay. I saw that you fell down, etc. So you can start off with a little bit of empathy. So the next thing is, hey, Krunal, great to see you. Thanks for tuning in. All right, so the next thing is easy to agree with. So if you start a conversation, you want to start again on a positive note where people are able to agree with you more easily. Like especially in sales, they teach this. They really hammer on this, because getting a person into agreement frame of mind or mindset is very powerful. But if you start to get someone disagreeing with you straight off the bat, it gives you an uphill battle to kind of recover from. So start on something that's easy to agree with. So if you go up to someone and you just sort of say, hey, oh my God, the dish that you have looks really amazing. What are you having? Like it's easy to agree with. I don't think that a person would disagree with that. If you see someone that has, I don't know, if you're a woman and you see another woman that has a nice handbag and you go up and you say, hey, I love your handbag, that's easy to agree with, and it's also pleasant and complimentary. So it ticks a number of those boxes, right? So find something that's easy to agree with. But if you start to go with what's it called? I don't know. You should go and vote for this in the next thing, or you should go and do this. No one's going to agree with that. They might be like, what do you mean? I'm not going to do that. I'll do whatever I want to do. So, if you could start a conversation on the bad foot, if you don't have something that's easy to agree with initially. All right. So the next one is neutral and non-threatening, right? And this falls in line a little bit with easy to agree with. Neutral and non-threatening is basically talk about neutral topics, right? Stay away from sex, politics, and religion initially when you're opening a conversation. If you want to start off on the right foot, just find something that's neutral, that's easygoing to open a conversation with, that's relevant. Okay, so Laura, great to see you. And yeah, Krunal, how to initiate difficult conversations. So Krunal, what I'm talking about right today is how to initiate any conversation. I'll talk about how to deal with difficult people in another video, but this one is because so many people find it difficult to actually just start a conversation, to walk up to someone. And like I said at the beginning, I was saying this is one of the most important skills that you have, because your life is literally one conversation away from radically transforming. If you're married, you're in a relationship because you had a conversation. It started off with a conversation. If you are in a job, if you had a business partner, you met them because of a conversation. All of these things, your life can transform from a single conversation. So this is about that initial little bit. And Laura, yeah, I mean, I agree. It's a passionate topic for me, like, because I love having conversations with people. So, okay. So, that was neutral and non-threatening. So find a subject that's just neutral, just to start off. If you're kicking off a conversation, don't start off with something heavy, and keep it small enough. So here's what I mean, right? Like, one of the ladies that initially taught me a number of these techniques, Lyle Lowndes, she was talking about when she went to a seminar one day, and she got in the lift, and she went, oh man, like she just said something like, oh man, this lift is really slow. And then one of the engineers over there went, yes, it's the Python brakes that are distributing the load factor among the da 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 da. And she just went, okay. Like, he went real big, real fast. And she was supposed to go to the 15th floor and ended up pressing number 5 so that she could get out early. Like you don't want to just go on to someone and be like, hey, oh, I wonder why, like, what's happening here? Yes, because the force of gravity is dispersed equally among, especially if you consider the EMC equals MC squared and blah, 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 whatever it is, right? So start with something small enough, easy to agree with, that's neutral. So let's talk about, let's cover everything that we talked about. So The system is the RQPENS system to starting a conversation. First, it's got to be relevant to the situation that you're in. Then, at some point, ask a question. Soon after you start with a question, it kicks off the conversation. Make it pleasant and complimentary. Then make sure that it's easy to agree with. Make it neutral and non-threatening. Make it small enough. And yeah, that's the 6-step system. And remember, you are one conversation away from changing your life. You are one conversation away. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys very much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it was useful. If you have not, please do make sure that you subscribe to my channel. Other than that, I hope you've enjoyed today, and I will see you on another video very, very soon. Peace out. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let me just give another shout out to Cheriana, great to see you. Thanks for tuning in. All right, peace out. One love. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you soon.